welcome to another edition of XFeed. Today, we are burning down the house and bringing you up to speed with some of the stuff from the past, some of the things that have been happening in the present to be aware of, because that's something that I feel like we've talked a lot about, like scams or super predatory things, and then there's a lot of just simple happenings within the space that gravely affect people you know, and we got to go over all that stuff. So thank you so much for tuning on in. First of all, this is sort of irrelevant from the initial opening here, but we don't have founders that talk like this anymore, and I'm telling you, dude. Luka Nets reveals that in the last 2 weeks he spent $5 million buying Pengu. So, I mean, that's a lot. And there'll be people that are like, oh, yeah, man, he's just like pumping his own token. Do you not wish that whatever founder of NFTs that you hold would be buying up the floor, buying the tokens, buying the NFTs? You know what I mean? Like, I think most people will be down with it. But the question with all of this is anybody going to match that? You know what I mean? Like, is any other founders going to come out here and start bashing down walls? Because it feels like, generally speaking, founders have taken a step back from being bullish, and for a multitude of reasons, right? Okay, like we don't want to overpromise, we don't want to do this or the other thing, but Luka doesn't care, and that's cool to see. Just in, the Federal Reserve withdraws crypto activity reporting requirements for banks. Yes, that happened the other day, and I guess they don't need to report anything about crypto, which is odd, but hell yeah. Okay, so let's go back in time, and we're going to be going through a lot of things that are going to jog your memory or educate you, I guess, and it'll educate me too, because we're going to kind of go through some of this at the same time. So Pix here has a floor price nostalgia chart. And I saw something the other day where somebody was like, nostalgia is what you feel because it takes you to a time before the world broke you. And I was like, damn, that's deep. But even like recent things that have happened that are nostalgic, which still affect it. So it's like, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But with that being said, talking about a whole bunch of different NFT collections. So Clone X at one point was $63,000, down to like $300. Moonbirds at $85,000, now $700. Cool Cat. I'm not going to go through like what the price is now. We'll just go for like what it was. But Cool Cats at one point $41,000. Nouns DAO $267. Well, Nouns really that friggin' high? Holy smokes! Nouns DAO does do like esports. So if you look up like Nouns esports, you can still see that they're doing things. But they did a daily auction where you could get this NFT and you would pay like a ton of ETH in it. And the idea is that the reserve for everybody buying these nouns would have like this big ass DAO, and so they could do anything with them. And there was an article that came out not that long ago, I think, that was like, if they gave back everybody the ETH, that they would like break even on ETH value, something crazy like that. Anyway, Mutant Ape Yacht Club at one point 100,000, Azuki 86,000, Doodles 57,000, Cyberkongs. This is inaccurate, by the way. It was upwards of $800,000. So this is inaccurate, but they're saying 491K. Bored Ape Yacht Club 369,000, and Crypto Punks at $400,000. Wow. So sure, we can look at this and say, well, there was a multitude of things that fell from grace. And part of it, obviously, the royalties got schmucked. But at a point before Blur and these other people got in, these teams raked in the cash. Yo, Aries Swan, what is going on? We're talking about Pokemon today. Did you see on the timeline all the news about the new Pokemon thing and potentially connected to Sui? We got the goods. Love to see you here. But yeah, kind of crazy to think, and some of these collections really like aren't doing anything anymore. Like Clone X, Nike decided, hey, we're just going to not do anything. Moonbirds was acquired by Yuga. We're going to go over Ryan Carson and the fund and all the debacle over Moonbirds at the time. Cool Cats is still doing a thing, but it's now like a part of Futureverse. Nouns is still doing its own thing with esports. Mutant Ape still there. Zuki Doodles, Cyberkongs, BOYC, CryptoPunks, all that stuff's still there, apart from some of the ones at the front. Well, again, Moonbirds is still a thing, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really follow Moonbirds that much. And this is like an example. So if you go and check OpenSea today, you will not see these collections up front, but Moonbirds at 33 ETH, Mutant Ape. I mean, so it's funny because when you look at it and it's like in ETH terms, it's like, you know what? That looks more intriguing to me, at least, versus like those US dollars. And Murakami Flower Seeds, those were a huge thing at a point as well. Artifact, these monolith, these turned out to be like shoe coupons or something insane. Bored Ape Kennel Club, these were supposed to be utility within heavy heavy metal, but I don't even know if that was known at the time for it. V-Friends, Beans, 5.2 ETH. Oh man, they did Beans dirty, because this was supposed to be like the second tier collection for Izuki, and then they introduced the Elementals to do more fundraising for themselves, and and then Clonex here at 18.5. Crazy. Hits of nostalgia to read all of that. So I went back and I found something juicy. It was a thread by Whale Mocha. And if you remember Ryan Carson, he was one of the co-founders of Proof, which we've talked about before, where I bought one and then I sold to buy a honeypot, and then Proof Pass went to 100 ETH. And that's probably one of the bigger regrets I've had within the space. But that being said, contrary to popular belief, the Pudgy Penguins ETF would not be the first institutional NFT investment fund. Few remember that Proof co-founder Ryan Carson ran a private investment fund called 121G. And if I remember correctly, at the time, Ryan had a limit of, I want to say $75,000 or higher to be able to get into this fund. Like, it was something completely ridiculous, if I'm remembering correctly. The track record was absolutely phenomenal. He swept countless moonbirds at an average of 20 to 30 each, more than 700 ETH in total. Floor price today is 0.3 ETH. He round-tripped Art Gobblers from all-time high, 10 plus ETH. There was a whole debacle around Art Gobblers and the KOLs that ended up getting allocation for that, and then things coming out about the artists, and just welcome to crypto. He spent 183 ETH on 15 Bitcoin punks, which were copies of CryptoPunks on Bitcoin, which I was floored about why anybody would do that. When the Ordinals bull run happened, these punks are completely worthless today. He bought countless other worthless garbage, spent 100,000 on Tiger Bob Genesis, Ledger passes, and more. And those are just the highlights. And it's, woo! People were crazy back in the day. But think of all of the things that were bought, and a lot of things just haven't come. So let's, before we go into the next part where we're going to go over a lot of these collections, like, how do you feel about these things reading back? Were we caught in the moment? Ordinals were going crazy? What exactly is the thought process? And I mean, at the time, right? I think a lot of us were like, okay, if you have a fund to go and buy a whole bunch of NFTs, that seems like an absolutely phenomenal idea. But as we've seen, and one of the biggest things for myself is I had the thought, I made the assumption, which we're not supposed to do that, I will stop making assumptions, but that if the teams that were building out games, I had the assumption that they were waiting for better market conditions. We went into New Year's every year saying, is this going to be the year for gaming? All these collections and things are starting to do it. And I've come to just realize, I think just most of these games simply aren't ready. And it's not about marketing conditions or anything. It's simply the tech wasn't ready. The teams have pivoted for whatever reason. I mean, we go down the list of everything we just looked at and the heights that there were and the expectations that were set. And it's like, oh, it just kind of is what it is. So moving on. As an example, the Pixel Vault Founders DAO. This is one of the things where I'm super against everything DAO related for the most part, because it's insane. So they had a ton of money that they had to work with because they sold a piece to Raoul Paul, and they decided that they were going to buy the GG ticker for $520,000, which the market cap for their token right now I think is under $1 million. So it's like, holy shit. What? Why would you go and do that? And this is the DAO voting, right? Like, this isn't necessarily the team or anything. It's the people within the community. So anytime we've heard talks of, oh, we're going to create a community council or we're going to do this and that, it's like, yeah, I don't know if those are necessarily the best decisions that we could do with it. Now, Gossamer World. Do you know what Gossamer World is? Well, let's read one of their tweets from back in June of 2023. Concept to film to Fortnite, The Portal. The Portal was designed to link the heap and the real world. See all the whimsical elements of nature brought together by our incredible artists in these 3 versions. Okay, so you go on this, and it's got this world going on. From 2-time Newbery winner Lois Lowry, a Braun digital production powered by Unreal Engine and featuring executive music producers Beat Club. This was an NFT, and people were buying these for a ton of money, unless I'm completely forgetting. And they said that these were going to go in Fortnite and all this other crazy stuff. And here's, I guess, an example. Share a clip of you defeating the final boss in the heap on the Fortnite. Right? So if we go... Can we check out the official thing? We have the NFT collections. We got the seed. We got Nightmare Serum. We got all this stuff. let's check it out. Gossamer World, the domain is registered but may still be available. Okay, so the site is completely down. Over on this, 670 ETH. For these characters, you're a warrior in training. As you grow through the Gossamer Academy, you'll have the choice, Dream or Nightmare. Each warrior provides exclusive access to a world overlapping with Web3, TV, and a AAA game franchise. See, AAA, we're starting to have red flags around that. Gossamer NFTs also provide first access to all future Braun NFT projects, which I'm guessing this Braun thing just doesn't exist anymore. NFTs are dead, 670 ETH volume, 7,441 ETH volume for these seed characters, which these kind of look like the Buzzies. If anybody's in Futureverse, which is kind of funny, but I think the Buzzies have like a lot more depth to them. These seem like they're just all kind of very much the same. Surprise adventure and access to a new world await the holder. Your companion unlocks access to mint a Gossamer, a rideable mount in the AAA Gossamer game that never came, and continuing storyline full of treasure. And it's like, okay, well, I guess none of that happened, and then they got another. NFT collection. So, what is the point in launching all these NFT collections if we don't have the products out there? It is said that after the month's metamorphosis, this will call a creature of nightmare to your wallet. So, 83 ETH volume total, and yeah, I guess there's not like a whole lot going on there. So then today we have all these announcements coming out from Walker World, which wasn't on their official site, but for anybody in that community, sorry to break the news if you haven't seen, but hello Walkers, after a long time of financial uncertainty and not being able to raise funds further, we had to shut down our studio Walker Labs on Friday the 11th of April. We have been working tirelessly to secure further funding for the studio, but the market conditions in Web3, gaming, and crypto in general has led us to this unfortunate outcome. However, we just want to make it clear that Walker Labs closing down does not mean the Walker World as a brand and community is closing down. So what does this mean for the Walker World NFTs and partnerships? The NFTs will continue to be supported, and our aim is to continue working with the Walker World brand, partnerships, and upcoming projects. We don't know the exact timing or form yet, but we will communicate as soon as we know more. What about the Area 6545? The website and that area will also continue to work and be available. What about the Walker World game experience you previously hinted at? It's also our aim and desire to finish and launch the game, that when the time is right. We'll all inform you when more news about this as well. Seems kind of weird if they're shutting down, but they're still launching a game. And sorry, I realize like my face is in the view here. And what about we want to thank you all for the incredible, wonderful community, yada, 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 yada. And then so it goes a little bit into open as well, because obviously they were like, some of the bigger devs, at least I had the assumption, for open and everything going on with Readyverse, but Readyverse made the decision to end the contract and for phase one for open with Walker Labs and bring the development in-house. It seems like they're now working on it, and they had reached a point where in-house Readyverse capability had been built up, and deeper integration to Readyverse and Futureverse tooling made sense to manage under one roof. The timeline for open public beta remains, and so there was further actions here, and I do follow Aaron, but this stupid X always does this, but added to what was going on. Hey there, appreciate the question and concern. I'm a holder too. We can't speak for Walker Labs as it's not our company and it's not our place to make statements on their behalf. They were one of the third-party studios we have been working with on a contract basis. It's also not our responsibility to run their business or make it successful. We made the decision to take open in-house in December of 24, and it's been the Readyverse team now for 4 months. Readyverse is a separate business from Futureverse, was able to build up its very own capable team over the last year, and so did not need the same level of third-party support. We also were at a point where open, where it needed to be more deeply integrated with Readyverse and with the tooling on Futureverse, so it made more sense to have it in-house. We intend to continue support for Walker Lab collections in FutureScore, TTK, and Open, assuming the files are available to us. So I guess it's like partially odd if they were like, yo, we're the only people that are hiring them, essentially, and we let them go like 4 months ago, and not to say like, hey, we're building, like bringing development in-house. I guess that's, only for us that have been like super attached to everything that has, but I mean, Walker World NFTs immediately started getting weaved. I'm curious if you go back, if you see anybody that had that news ahead of time that was selling, and it's just, I don't know. It's one of those feel bad moments, but that's the thing, right? We have all these collections that are trying to do these grand things, and in a moment's notice, all of a sudden, poof, it's gone, and you're like, holy crap. So I do encourage anybody, if you're in a community out there, ask about funding, try to do these harder questions, because these are the questions you need to know and you don't want to get caught off guard. So a couple of other examples, as is going to be the theme of the show, Three-Landers is one. And so at a time, there was a whole bunch of collections that came out that had similar looks to Cool Cats, to Doodles, to all that stuff. So Wonder Pals would be one. Three-Landers would be another here. And they just didn't post anything except for, I think their founder did at a point saying like, we have to shut down, unfortunately, and sucks to see. But I mean, if we try to go to Three-Landers, I don't know if their site is still available here, but this was a really popular collection at a time. But no, their domain is for sale. But again, 60,000 people that were following this, and just one afternoon, and you wouldn't even know if you're not following on X. It's just poof. These are on ApeChain. No, none of these are on ApeChain. But what's up? How are you, Paul Jane? Okay, so Lucky Zeros is another one. This is a collection that I actually got into at a point. I guess they had some sort of Pudgy Penguin connection, or just wanted to do like a highlight video of like, hey, we're doing this. We're a global community of makers and dreamers by Pure Base Studios. So if you look over to Pure Base, their last posts are in 2023. They were supposed to be doing all these cool things with animations. They had like a smaller collection side. They said they were working in Hollywood doing all this crazy stuff. They had a very tight-knit thing when they were doing Discord calls, and then one day just poof, it's gone. And again, not seeing anything on Lucky Zero's socials regarding it. And then over on Pure Base, again, we don't see anything. If we go and check out their website, maybe it's still active. We'll see. 100% based. We are an independent Web3 studio dedicated to helping brands and creators navigate the new digital economy. Curious if they have anything else on here. So they did some Color Super. They did the Lucky Zero launch, and then they did some specific artists. I wanted to say, I forget what the artist name was, but they did something with some like Korean artist for a special connection. And then, yeah, I guess they decided that they just weren't going to do anything else anymore, or move on to something else, which is fine. Look Labs, another one here. Holy smokes. So the dev from this one stole $5 million. This is one of those things that Beanie was involved with and just completely went to shit. I know that he invested a whole bunch into it, but there was this dev that just decided, hey, we're going to take it and run with the cash. Just out of the blue, you're like, all right, well, we're just kind of screwed on here. And again, you look on their X, there's no signs of anything happening. It's just poof, it's done, it's gone. Over to Ethlings, the exact same case. We shared an update today that was a tough decision. Our message is that everyone will still have access to their Ethlings, their customizability, and ET token going forward. But you have to face reality. This is a protocol that lacks community engagement. Here are indicators. And they talk about how they've only had 1 to 2 customizations, 0.5 traded in a week, but Ethling's at a point where one of the hottest mints, and I think that's one of the problems, is a lot of mints get super hyped up, and then all of a sudden it seems like there's not really much going on, or people just wanted to speculate, and then, you know, the magic is out of there. Wag Me United, let's add another one to the list here. Holy smoke, Shill, we're going down in the dirty path, aren't we? Yes, we are. So, Wag Me United, this concept was brilliant. Are you a soccer fan out there? Do you like football? If you're European, absolutely. So you probably have a favorite team, whatever that is in the English Premier League. Maybe you like MLS. Maybe you like La Liga. But there was nothing within Web3 that really brought people together. So the idea with Wag Me United, they had a jersey. It had a chromie squiggle on it. They were selling NFTs and going to let the community decide on, are we going to get a striker? Are we going to get a midfielder? Are we going to get a defender? And they bought like a tier 2 or tier 3 team somewhere in the UK. And man, oh man, the locals absolutely hated it, saying, oh my God, we got bought by these crypto people. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. Harder to view these games. All this stuff kind of went to crap, and there's a whole lot more behind the scenes, I'm pretty sure. So in recent days, we parted ways with the moderator of our Discord. We'd first like to thank our moderators for all the efforts over the past years in the community. Our first priority is Crawley Town FC, and our focus right now is fully on the start of the season with supporting Scott, his staff, and the players. However, contrary to online speculation, Wag Me United remains committed to bringing ideas and passionate communities of the world of sports, and that includes continuing to deliver value and utility to our NFT holders moving forward. And I don't think that anything previous, or that was like the end of it. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, nothing happened with it. And to that point, like the last retweet or post was in 2023. So again, I think they made the announcement in their Discord saying, yo, we're shutting up shop or we're not doing this. Or maybe as one of the founders, I feel like I remember reading a thread about it. But here's the thing. So on that, the idea was that special input and voting on the future of Crawley Town FC, Adidas X Wagme United X Chromie Squiggle jersey. Everybody's supposed to get a jersey. Limited edition football scarf, limited edition football hat. Holders choose design for the third item. Access to in-person events, free tickets to some home matches, exclusive access to behind the scenes at the club, AMA with players, exclusive live streams from the bench during games. And I don't think that anything happened at all regarding this. Maybe the jersey did, but I think that was it. And then Tools of Rock. So this is a collection that was bringing collectors back to the 80s. It was generative art and collectibles. And the idea with this is you just have kind of these cool albums, but the idea also was that if you had a couple of them, you would get like this lanyard and get VIP access to concerts in Sandbox. No concert ever happened within Sandbox. So there's your feel-good NFT conversation of the day. So this is something where we have the conversations of, all right, are new collections going to take more of the limelight because people are thinking, hey, this is new exciting, the team's got new funding, see what they can do, or is it, well, these longer established teams like Yuga, Pudgy Penguins, are they going to be around and cooking because they've endured all of this and still came through? So Consensus is happening May 14th. If you're in Canada, well, guess what? It's in Toronto. But what you should know about this is that it's expensive as hell. Like, what are we doing? The Pro Pass for the few days, $850 US. The Platinum Pass, $1,650. Starter package, $850. And the Piranha Pass, $9,000. Why the hell is every crypto event so expensive? I mean, we've seen some events that have been packed. We've also seen other ones where there's virtually nobody there. And I do not understand, because these events are probably cashing out on the teams that are paying to have a booth and then absolutely rinsing those in attendance. Now, maybe this is a little bit different and it's supposed to be some kind of exclusive thing. You get a whole bunch of extra perks. But I mean, the whole way up, like this morning, it was like buy your tickets before 4 hours and the prices are going to go up and price increases again in a couple of days. They're trying to do these FOMO tactics. I absolutely cannot stand it. So yesterday we highlighted the fact that IMX picked up Ubisoft's Might and Magic. And then today, Ubisoft caught spying on users in Assassin's Creed and other games, fined $104 million US. Man, there's just no way that things ever get put in a good light here in Web3. Am I going to Vegas for Ape Fest? I have no idea. I'd have to like renew my passport and everything. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Are you going? Hopefully you're going. Collect and trade medals in new Pokemon Home update. In the latest update to the mobile version of the service, you can now obtain digital souvenirs. So I'm not the first person who've seen this. If you've been on the timeline at all, there's like 605 people talking about it and being like, yo, this is NFTs. We highlighted yesterday that some people were speculating that there's some connection with Sui. So here's a little bit more of a breakdown from Now Media. Today's Pokemon Home update added tradable digital medals, but the real story is hidden in the fine print. A new dev, Parasol Technologies, quietly appeared in the privacy policy. They're owned by Miston Labs, the team behind Sui and work in blockchain and NFTs. Stranger still, Parasol only shows up in the Western policies, not the Japanese, Korean, or Chinese ones. What happens if half the world can trade them as NFTs and then half can't? That would be really weird. Plus, Miston blog post mentioning Pokemon was edited after publishing to remove the reference. Pokemon and Sui, the dots are starting to connect. We'll see if that happens. Again, back to the thoughts from Kagi and others yesterday. I do think that if Pokemon's going to do that, it would be odd. I think it would be odd if they're not the ones that end up making the majority out of whatever partnership it is. So congrats, Cyberpunk and the Play Cambria team on an outstanding season 2. We've talked a lot about it. Cambria, ton of fun. Great experience. Very fun, but now it's offline until season 3. So risk to earn makes sense. Everything you do, you're risking it, even if it's like less than a cent. True. Baked in guild system and reward splits are foundational crypto gaming mechanics. I didn't really do anything with the guild system, so I can't really comment on that. The reward split, again, for the guilds, can't really comment on that because I didn't do it. Play to earn is alive and well. I do agree we were at a point where everybody was saying that play to earn was dead, gone. Don't talk about it, right? A while back, I do think that mantra is back in a way. Not everything, but play to earn as a concept, I think is back. Ronin gamers love MMOs, true, and real stakes player versus player incentivizes group play. I mean, I didn't really play as a group too much, but I just found it fun. Honestly, I just found it fun. Yo, what's up, Jeffrey? Yo, Jazz Sooner, my goodness, how are you? Holy smokers. Haven't seen you in a hot minute, good sir. Holy. But listen, this is ridiculous timing because we've pretty much wrapped up everything we were going to talk about today. But if there's anything good you want to chat about, Mr. Alvarado, let me know and we can go over it. But yeah, Bitcoin here, if you haven't seen past 7 days, up 12%. A lot of people didn't want to touch anything to do with crypto. And damn, look, some of these majors here absolutely flying. ETH up 12% as well. Where are the bears now? XRP having a 5% pump. I think there's still some stupid thing going on with the SEC or something else around that. I keep seeing XRP news around in general. Solana up 12%. That's crazy. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana are up 12% or more. All of them. You're still lurking? Hell yeah. Dogecoin up 14%. Cardano 13%. Sui. Again, is this the Pokemon news or is this something else? Because I mean, look at this chart right here. The 7 days, it's up 66%. So people, for IP, we've talked about how IP is massive. When they find out maybe Pokemon's on Sui, whoop, gone and dusted. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for coming on through. Jazz Sooner, phenomenal to see you. Buffalo Space, hope you're doing well as well. Paul Shane, don't know if you're still here, but thank you for tuning in. Harry Swan, when are we talking about Pokemon? And I'm Dolly. Thank you for always coming by and being the first here. Legend. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll talk soon. Peace.